Hello, everybody. Tina Hogan Grant here with my regular Cuppa A Natter that I like to do every other Monday. I like to bring authors into my home and we talk about books, life as an author, what we're up to, what we're working on. And today I am here with Kimberly Belle, best-selling USA author, Kimberly Belle. And I just discovered you are all the way in Amsterdam.
I am. It is 2 a.m. here, and everybody's asleep but me.
But you, I'm in California, but I was just floored when you said it was 2 a.m. and you're here to do a chat with me. Thank you so much.
Yes, of course. Of course. I'm happy to be here.
I appreciate it. And are you all ready for the holidays? I see the Christmas tree in the background.
Christmas tree is up. It's been up for a couple of weeks. My daughter is actually on a plane here now. And then we have one child who lives here in Amsterdam. So we will be together this year. It's going to be a much smaller celebration than before because Holland, I don't know if you've read, we're in full lockdown here. So Again, yeah. So, I mean, everything's closed, but the necessities, the grocery stores, the pharmacies, and the liquor stores, because booze is a necessity these days.
It is a necessity, especially during these times.
So it'll be a quieter Christmas, but my husband, he's Dutch, and so his whole family lives here. So we'll be seeing his parents, his sister, the really close families, but the big celebrations like we've had before, those are not going to happen this year, unfortunately.
Oh, yeah, we're the same way here too. Now, you said that Holland is in the lockdown. Now, is all of Europe, because I have a sister in England.
Yeah.
I haven't talked to her in a few days. Is all of Europe in the lockdown or just
No, it's just Holland. There are some other countries with some travel restrictions. And I think I read that UK was going to go into a lockdown at some point soon because they're having a big wave there as well. But I don't know the specifics of that.
Yeah, they just booked tickets to come out here next September.
Oh,
Because you come out every year in September, and they haven't been for 2 years.
Yeah.
So I said, we're coming. We're coming next year. We booked our tickets. I'm like, okay.
Yeah. Well, hopefully by September. I mean, we keep saying that, right? But
I know. We keep saying that. Anyway, we're here to talk about you and your books. I am thrilled to have you. Again, I'm with Kimberly Belle. For those that have just joined us, she is USA's best-selling author, and she's joining us all the way from Amsterdam at 2 a.m. in the morning. So give her a huge thank you. And your latest book, which I believe is coming out right after Christmas, December 28th, is called My Darling Husband. There it is.
Ta-da!
Ta-da! Now, this, I guess, would be a domestic thriller genre?
Yes, I write domestic suspense. So, stories about suspenseful situations around a familial relationship. So this one is in particular a little more in the thriller, dips its toe into a thriller genre, I think, because it's about a woman who returns home and discovers this masked, armed intruder in her garage, and he forces his way inside with her and her kids. So it's really hard to write a story like that that's not super fast-paced, thrillery kind of feel. So it kind of takes off from page one. It keeps going all the way till the end.
Just poured into it. This is a standalone, correct?
Yes, all my books are actually standalones. Yeah.
Okay, and if you don't mind, like halfway through a chat, I would like to read the blurb, if that's okay with you, because I read it. I'm like, oh yes. So I would like to read it, but I have to ask you, where did the idea or inspiration for this book come from? Because it's not your everyday domestic thriller.
Right.
There is a lot. I can see just from the blurb, it's intense, like you said.
Yeah.
But I gather there's a lot of twists and turns throughout the story.
Correct. Yeah, it definitely it has a lot of twisty spots, and it's funny. I'm under contract when I wrote this book, I was under contract for 2, but they were undefined, like what the stories were actually going to be. They just signed me up for 2 books, and then when it's time for me to write a book, I have to sit down with my editor and hammer out, a concept, what it's going to be about, and kind of come up with an outline and get their approval basically for the book I want to write. So when it was time for me to write this one, we did that, and they kept shooting my ideas down. I don't even remember what they were now, but for all different reasons. Some, they were like, well, that's maybe not exactly where, your lane. I was trying to maybe switch lanes a little too much, or, do something a little bit outside of my box. They had some stories that were maybe a little too similar that were already coming out, things like that. There are all sorts of reasons that they can shoot you down. So I had given them, I don't know, 2 or 3 ideas, and they kept, we kept hitting this wall. And finally my editor I said, well, what kind of stuff would you like to see from me? Most editors have a wish list of books they want to see. Okay. And she said, well, she gave me a list of, I don't know, 10 ideas, but one of them was a mother protecting her family or her children from danger, her home and her children from danger. And as soon as she said that, it was like the whole story kind of plopped in my head. Because, when I'm not in Amsterdam, I'm in Atlanta, and Atlanta is a city that, especially lately, has seen its fair share of crime and home invasions, especially in the neighborhood where we used to live. We don't live in that neighborhood anymore, but the neighborhood where we used to live, it's called Buckhead. It's like, the northern end of Atlanta, and it's a little, that's where the nice shops are and all the nice restaurants. And it had, you would hear about home invasions often enough there in that neighborhood that it, it just kind of, I guess, was front of mind. So when my editor said that, I just knew kind of exactly the story I wanted to write. And so I sat down and I wrote it, and I started writing this book in like early 2020. And, it was right when we went into lockdown, and it flew out of me. And I think partly because it was, we were in that lockdown and there was nowhere to go and nothing to see. And, but also because it was a really nice distraction from everything that was going on. Yeah. So I wrote it super fast. And maybe that also is a little bit because of the pacing, because the pacing is so fast. It was just like, I always knew what was going to happen next, which, as you know, as a writer, is a really nice thing because you don't always know, do you?
You do not. Did you know how this book was going to end?
Yeah.
Now, did you plot it, or did it just kind of unfold as you were writing it?
No, I'm a plotter, so I do like to, part of it's because I have to give my editor an outline, and the other part is because I really, my books, because domestic suspense is, basically a mystery. There's some sort of mystery in there, and there's all sorts of, clues and red herrings and, twisty kind of things. And so there are lots of moving parts. And I know that there are authors who can write these kind of books without an outline, but I'm not one of them. I need a roadmap. I need to know, what my big points are that I'm working towards as I'm writing the story.
Does it ever change? You've got your book plotted out and you're in the middle of the book, and does the path ever change or go in another direction from what you initially plotted?
Sometimes things happen that I don't see coming in my outline, but not usually the major plot points. Usually those are pretty set.
Beginning, the middle, and the end pretty much stay the same.
So all my endings have stayed the same except for the one that I'm writing now. And I always said, no, my endings never changed. And then this one, I ended up changing the ending, not so much with, to have to do with the mystery of what actually happened and who did it, but just kind of, I kind of reworked the ending in a way that was not in my outline at all.
Wow. And I'm going to just pause for a little bit. We have a lot of people joining us. So I do want to say hi to a few people. I'm not sure, some of these I'm sure you'll know. And if you have any questions for Kimberly, again, I'm here with Kimberly Belle, USA bestselling author. She has a book coming out, My Darling Husband. Let's see that cover again. Let's see
Oh,
the
sorry.
cover.
I was
Coming
scrolling
out
through
September
some.
28th. Domestic thriller, and this is one she's been talking about, and it sounds really good. I have to tell you, it sounds really good. But Janet Weinsberg is here, and Karen Wright says hi. Bambi Ratham says hi. Can you see the comments, Kimberly?
Yeah, I'm
Okay,
scrolling
good.
through them. Yeah.
Lori says hi. Della Page, nice to meet you. B. Fallowhill. Alicia Haney, Lori Chasko. I just like to acknowledge our viewers, let them know I know they're here. Raina is here. Barbara Miller. Jennifer Wowser is here. Hey, Jen, good to see you. Vicky Fassetti. And Jennifer says, I can't wait for your next book. Leisha says, your book sounds and looks very intriguing. Here's a question for you. I'm not sure who it is, though. What was the best part about writing this book?
You know, I think, you know, I mentioned before that it came out really fast, and that I'm not a fast writer. I mean, it usually takes me 8 months or so to write a book, sometimes even longer than that. But when I'm writing now, I'm in month 10 and still fiddling with it. I'll finish it in January and turn it in. But, you know, I think this one, because it came out so fast and it was just, I mean, no book is easy to write, but this one was, I guess, relatively easy because it was just one of those books that just flew out of me. Yeah. So I think that's the best part. That, you know, I mean, at the same time, it's a difficult subject. And, you know, I'm a mother, I have 2 kids, and, you know, putting myself in Jade's place in this book, you know, where there's this man who comes in and she doesn't know who he is. She doesn't even see his face. All she sees are eyes. And he seems to know all these things about her and about her husband. And, you know, she's trying to like figure out what his connection is, what their connection is. And, you know, at the same time, protect her children who are 7 and 9 and maybe a little too brave at times. So, you know, it was an easy story to write in some ways, and yet again, very hard to write in other ways because it was, you know, it hit a little close to home.
Yeah, I can imagine. And then Raina has a question too, we got in the book. Is this book inspired by real life events?
Well, you know, Atlanta, like I said, is a city where you hear about it often enough that, you know, it is definitely front of mind. It's something you think about when you're in Atlanta and you're coming home. And the house in this story is kind of, the floor print is kind of one similar to the one that we lived in. So it felt very familiar and, you know, kind of real to me at the time. But so I didn't really model it after one particular real life event, although I did know someone who, they're not friends, but they're people that we know through our friend group. And it's happened to them, the mother coming home with 2 kids. And, you know, she got, you know, forced, it was actually 2 men in this case, and they forced their way into the house. But one of the things that I kind of took from their story, they had a very strange ransom amount. It was very specific. And I used that in this story because I thought that was fascinating because it immediately tells something about, you know, the invaders know something about this family, right? If you're demanding a ransom, in this case, in My Darling Husband, it was like 700,000, 300, and I mean, it was a very specific and very large amount. But, you know, it also implies that there's some sort of meaning behind that number, right? So what is the meaning behind that number? And I definitely use that part of their story in this, in My Darling Husband as well.
Now, do you always write domestic thrillers? Is that your go-to genre? That's what you always write?
Yes. Yeah. Well, domestic suspense, domestic thriller. Some are a little more thrillery than others, like this one. And then, I have Dear Wife, which also is very, thriller pacing, I think. But yeah, domestic suspense, domestic thrillers, that's kind of my thing. And I typically, there are other familial relationships, of course, than husband and wife, but I kind of stick with husband and wife just because I think it's one of those relationships that's, well, first of all, it's universal, right? I mean, even if you're not married, I think people can understand what it's like to be married and what that relationship entails. And when there's some sort of betrayal or secret or a lie or, something, you throw that into the mix, and then you have you have a million, storylines and places the story can go.
No, I often think about everyone that was on lockdown with the husband or wife they hadn't seen, because they usually go off to work. How many books could come out of those experiences?
No kidding. No kidding.
Does your husband read your books?
Yes, he does. He does.
Does he give you an opinion or
Oh, he
feedback?
loves it. He loves it. He's one of my first readers when I have kind of finished the book. It's maybe not the final version he gets to see, but the one that's, pretty close to the final version. And then my kids are older now. They read my books as well.
Oh, good.
So, yeah.
Oh, good.
Yeah, but
Excellent.
they're funny. They're 23 and 27, and you would think they would be the digital kind of kids, but they both want to wait until they have a real book in their hands. They want the real
I
book.
like that.
Yeah.
I do, because I'm a real book person. I have to read the real book. And the thing is, I often are gifted some ebooks, which is great. I love them. But what I do is I have my what is it, the Kindle in my phone, which I can't read. But when I'm ready to read an author's book, I'll go through my Kindle and go, okay, that's the one I'm going to read next, and I'll go order it. So it's kind of like a library of books I want to buy, basically.
Yeah.
Otherwise I
That's
forget,
awesome.
that's what I do. So, but
Yeah.
I cannot do Kindle. I can't.
Really? Yeah.
No, I can't. And I think for me, it's because I'm on these devices all day long,
All day. Yeah.
whether it be the phone, my laptop, and it's like the book just gets me away from all that.
Yeah. Yeah. I get that. I like real books too. I actually like all the formats. I like audiobooks. I also like Kindles just because my eyes are bad, and when I'm reading in bed, there's a light, and the whole thing. It depends on where I am as to which book I want.
Yeah, and I get the convenience. You can take all your books in one little device in your purse. I get that, but for me,
Yeah.
I'll touch the screen of my Kindle, and all of a sudden, I have no idea where I'm at on my book. It's like something just happened, and I have no idea what. And that will happen like 10 times in 5 minutes, because I'm so used to flipping a page on a book.
Yeah.
I'll touch the screen like, well, where did my page go? It
Yeah.
just totally went away. Yeah. And I think I need some more practice. Alicia Haney has a question for you. Here we go. Did you have a big part on designing your book cover? I love the book cover.
Yeah, thank you. They really got this one good, didn't they? They
did.
They hit it out of the park.
Like and
I like she's looking over a shoulder, but you don't see. Well, wait, here, this one. You don't see the face of him, but you see her face, and
no, very nice.
They did a really good job. No, I have nothing to do with my book. I don't know. No. My publisher is basically like, here's your book cover. We hope you love it.
There you go. And you did, thank God. Have you had the same publisher for all your books?
I've been with the same publisher for all my books so far. Yeah.
Oh, that's nice.
Yeah, they actually, I started with Mira. It's an imprint of Harlequin and HarperCollins, and then they moved me to a different imprint called Park Row. But it's the same publisher. It was actually the same, well, no, it wasn't the same editor because I switched editors that year too, but it was, they sit next to each other in the same room. So,
that's nice. They're treating you well. And you've been writing for how many years?
My first book came out in 2008. So, yeah.
And this is your full-time career?
It is. Yes.
And for which book did you become, maybe there's more than one, best-selling USA author? And I also understand you're an international bestseller too.
I am. And that was actually, but both of those things happened with my third book, The Marriage Lie.
I'm going to write this down. What is it called again?
The Marriage Lie.
The Marriage Lie.
The Marriage Lie. So I hit, I think my first list that I hit was in Canada with The Marriage Lie. And then that one also went on to hit USA Today.
Congratulations.
Yeah, thanks. And I think Dear Wife hit a bunch of lists too, including USA Today. And I don't remember.
Awesome.
Yeah.
So, before you became a full-time author, I mean, what were you doing before?
So I worked in nonprofit fundraising for a really long time, and that was actually my first career. And worked here in Holland when I was living here in Holland. I worked for Habitat for Humanity, and then we moved back to the States to Atlanta, and I started working for the YWCA and did a bunch of consulting. And I was doing consulting at the time. Sorry, no, I said before my first book came out in 2008, but that's when I started writing. My first book came out in 2014. But yeah, so I was doing consulting in 2008 when the crash hit, and literally all my clients just evaporated overnight. They were gone. I woke up and I had no job. So, and I had always thought I had a story to tell and wanted to write a book. That was kind of like my little secret dream that I didn't really talk about with anybody. Not even my husband was kind of surprised. I was like, I'm going to write a book. And he was like, wait, what? But yeah, so I thought, well, I can go out and get another job, or I can do this thing that I've kind of secretly always wanted to do. And I thought maybe this is a sign from the universe, like it's time to do this thing. So I did it. Yeah. And it took me, like I said, 2008 is when I sat down to start writing. And then 2014 is when my first book came out. And, part of it was because I was learning what I was doing. I sat down to write a book and I had no idea what I was doing. I mean, there's a whole science behind it. People study for years to, understand how to do it. And so it took me a minute to figure out what I was doing. And then, finding an agent, finding a publisher, that is a whole another story that I probably should not be drinking tea for, but something alcoholic because, that's.
How long did that take you? Because that's not an easy task. I mean,
it's not at all.
Did you find the agent first? Well, yeah, we probably had to.
I found an agent first. And she's the one who sold my books, and I've been with her the whole time too. But I don't remember exactly how long it took me, but I do know that I wrote 2 full books before I got an agent. So, I written 2 whole books and nobody had paid me a penny.
Yeah.
So you have to have, I can't remember who said it and where I got this quote, but somebody once said to me, the most successful writers aren't necessarily the best ones. They're the most persistent. And that definitely is true when you're looking for an agent.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah. And do you write, right now it's the holidays, but do you write every day? Do you have, a schedule for your writing?
When I'm writing a book, I try to touch it every day. I'm not necessarily writing tons of words every day, especially in the weekends, but I do want to touch it because I don't know about you, but if I put something down for the weekend and then on Monday, it takes me half the day to get back into it.
Yeah.
So if I just fiddle with a chapter in the weekends or, maybe think about my next chapter and kind of plot out how I'm going to write it, then I can stay in the story and it's easier for me.
Yeah. If I kind of get stuck of a chapter where it's kind of going, but it's going really slow, I do find for me, if I just walk away and then I come back the next day and I'll read the chapter before to get back into the story, then it kind of smooths itself out. I don't sit there and I don't try and fight the next sentence, the next paragraph. Okay, I'm done. I'm just going to walk away.
Yeah, it does help. I do that too. I take the dog for a walk or, go to the gym or something when the gyms are open. Yeah. Yeah. So I do that too. I think stepping away and time away to like give your brain a rest. I think, your subconscious is still working on the story, but it needs that time to rest and do something different for sure.
Yeah, exactly. I agree with you 100%. Do you think you'll ever try any other genre? Do you think this is the one you're going to stick with? And of course, you're known for this genre. And I hear horror stories of where an author tried to jump into another genre and just got totally lost.
Yeah. Yeah. It's hard. I mean, I don't know. I don't want to write the same stories over and over. So I definitely want to keep, doing something different with every story I do, whether it's with structure or with plot or with character or whatever. But, I write the stories that I like to read, the kinds of stories that I like to read. So I'm really into this genre reading wise as well. And really love these kind of books. So as long as I'm, still liking this genre to read, I think I'll still like writing it, but I never say never,
Never say
I'm
never.
always
Exactly.
open to, and maybe one day a story will, plop in my head and want to be told that isn't a domestic suspense. And then, we'll kind of cross that bridge when we get there.
Do you think you'll ever write a series, or you like the standalones?
Series kind of intimidate me. They're so hard because there's, I mean, you have with every book, you have your character arcs, you have your plots, like the whole thing, beginning, middle, end kind of thing. But then in a series, like, how do you do that? I don't know. It doesn't compute in my brain. And when I read a series that's done well and all the books, really build on each other, I'm like, ooh, I don't know if I can do that.
See, I'm the opposite. I don't think I can write a standalone. I write
Really?
series. I have two series. One is a trilogy, and I'm on book 6. But when I started each of the series, there was supposed to be a standalone,
Yeah.
and then it just continued on and continued on. And now in the Sabella series, I'm in book 6,
Yeah.
and I'm saying to myself, these were supposed to be just a standalone, like you write. So
Right.
I don't think I can write a standalone.
How funny. Interesting. The other part though so I don't know who your characters are, but like
Right.
this lady, Jay, like she's been through enough. Am I really gonna give her another story? Like, let's just let her, let her live her life for a little bit in safety and peace and quiet.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. Okay, I get it. With mine, what I did was in my series, I had the main characters in book 1, especially the Sabella series, and then there was 6 other sub characters. Well, I ended up giving them their own book and their own story,
Yeah,
and
that's a good
that's how it
one.
turned into a
When you
series.
move to the other characters,
Yeah, and
yeah.
I just made the sub characters the main characters in the next book, and in the
Yeah,
next book. That's what
yeah.
I did, but I would like to try and write a standalone. I just don't know if I'm capable. I'm
Funny,
always
yeah, funny how brains work, right?
It
Yeah,
is, it really is, and I mean, I don't plot my books. I can't do that. I tried it once, and it went into that's why I ask a lot of authors that, because I'm curious.
yeah,
But it went in the totally opposite direction. So now I just sit down, and I just wait for the characters to tell me what to write. I seriously
that's
do.
so funny. I wish I could do that.
Well, that's what works for me.
Yeah.
We have a couple more questions for you. Raina is asking, oh, where'd she go? She was here a minute ago. There she is. Which one character is a favorite of yours from your books? That's a hard question.
Yeah, I think, in the marriage lie, the brother in the marriage lie, Dave was his name. He was one of my favorite characters, and he was one who was very loud in my head. You just said something about, um, do you wait for your characters to tell you what's going to happen? Sometimes mine talk in my head, like really loudly, and say things that
I
don't
hear that
always
a
have
lot.
stuff to do with the book, right? Because
Mhm.
they become real to you, don't you think? I mean, they
They
feel
do. They
real.
do.
So he was, he's kind of snarky and smartassy, and he just was a funny character, and he was really loud in my head when I was writing that book.
There you go. And this is the one that you talked about that won the awards.
The Marriage Lie, yeah.
I'm definitely going to be checking out this book. As promised, if it's okay with you, I would like to read the blurb to your latest book coming out December 28th, My Darling Husband. Now, just to verify, this is going to be available in all formats, Kindle, audio.
It's Kindle, audio, and hardback coming out on the 28th, and then the paperback comes out March 8th, and that is like supply chain issues that have pushed that one back. But it'll be available in ebook, audiobook, and hardback, and libraries.
Oh, excellent. Excellent. All right. I am going to read. Let me get rid of this. This is the blurb to Kimberly's latest book. Again, coming out. Of course, my phone wants to. Here we go. Coming out December 28th, called My Darling Husband. Oh, wait. It just went away. Why did it do? Here it is. See, I touched my screen and my phone does whatever you want to do. Okay. Everyone is about to know what her husband isn't telling her. Jade and Kim Lasky are, by all accounts, a happily married couple with 2 adorable kids, a spacious home, and a rapidly growing restaurant business. But the world is tipped upside down when Jade is confronted by a masked home invader. As Cam scrambles to gather the ransom money, Jade starts to wonder if they're financially secure as their lifestyle suggests, and what other secrets her husband is keeping from her. Cam may be a good father, a celebrity chef, and a darling husband, but there's another side he's kept hidden from Jade that has put this family in danger. Unbeknownst to Cam and Jade, the home invader has been watching them and is about to turn their family secrets into a public scandal. With riveting twists and a breakneck pace, My Darling Husband is an utterly compelling thriller that once again showcases Kimberly Belle's exceptionally talent for domestic suspense. Brilliant. Ooh, got me intrigued.
Yay.
Yay. Yay. I love that. Congratulations. I'm excited.
Yeah.
Not to quickly change the subject, but you said you're working on a next book already. And when do you think the publication date for, I mean, this one's not even out yet, and I'm asking when the next one's coming out.
Right. I think they're talking early 2023, so it'll be another year.
It'll be a while.
It's about a year lag time between when I turn the book in and when it actually appears on shelves and online.
Now, did you have any say in the blurb, or did your publisher do all that for you and just said, here you go?
They wrote the blurb and we went back and forth on it a couple of times, but they actually were the ones. My editor was the one who wrote it, and she works with, here's the thing about, when you at a publishing house has, a marketing team, a sales team, and they're looking at, market trends, they're looking at cover trends, they're, all these people do nothing else but write blurbs and create covers and, put this marketing package around a book together. So I kind of let them do their thing. I figure, I write the story. They actually come up with the titles too. I don't do that either.
That was going to be my next question. Where did the title come up from? So you just answered that one.
Yeah, no, they do that as well. And I'm happy to let them do that because they are so much more experienced, and they're looking at the broader picture than I am. And so, and they, like I said, they really hit the mark with this one.
Yeah, and like you said, that is their job. That is, they take a cut of your royalties. Yeah. That's what they get paid to do. Exactly. Your job is to write the book, and they do the rest of it.
Yeah, so I don't fight it. I let them do their thing.
I like that. When you're not writing, what do you like to do? When you just want to break away from books, reading, editing?
Yeah. Well, my favorite thing is travel. We're constantly moving back and forth between Atlanta and Amsterdam just because of family and work situation. But if I want to really rest and recharge, I'll go somewhere fun. And, you know, these past couple of years have been a real big fat bummer when it comes to travel. So, you know, it's been a little closer to home sometimes, you know, car trips rather than airplane trips.
Yeah,
but,
going on long road trips.
yeah, but it still applies, you know. That's just kind of my way.
Because this relates to what we're just talking about. Karen's asking, what is your favorite vacation spot before COVID?
Yeah, pre-COVID. Well, you know, I love a city. I love vacationing in any city. My daughter lives in New York City, so that's one of them. Amsterdam, I'm not sure it's a vacation spot anymore, you know, I mean, because it's kind of our second home, I guess.
And it's where your husband works.
Yeah, exactly. And, you know, I usually am working here too, so it's for sure not a vacation. I love, you know, a Caribbean island, a beachy spot.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
There you
I'm
go.
a beach
And
girl.
how long are you going to be in Europe for?
I fly back in a week.
So you'll be back before New Year's.
Yes, correct. Yeah.
Okay,
We stay here for Christmas.
someone is asking, do you celebrate New Year's?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I do. I do.
It's my
I
birthday.
do.
New Year's Eve is my birthday.
It is? Oh, that's awesome.
What a day to be born.
Party just for you.
Yeah. Well, my son's is the 29th.
Oh,
And I so wanted him to be born on my birthday. I just thought that would be the coolest thing to have me and him be born on the 31st.
Yeah.
But no patience.
No.
Today, he still has no patience. He can't wait. But yeah, that is my birthday.
Yeah. Oh, that's awesome.
So,
yeah, no, I do like to celebrate. I don't love the big parties and, you know, waiting outside for the ball to drop or whatever. I'm not that. I kind of like the more intimate, you know, dinner party at home kind of thing. And then, yeah, lots of, here in Holland, it's all about the fireworks. Everybody does fireworks on New Year's Eve. Champagne, of course. And,
of course.
Yeah.
When I was younger, I always wanted to go to New York City and watch the ball drop. But now it's like, I don't know.
It's cold. It's busy. They're all drunk.
Yeah. 20 years ago, I wanted to go and do that 20 years ago. But now it's like, no. Are they even going to have that this year? I mean, New York seems like shutting down everything.
Yeah, I know. They're in the midst of a really bad wave. But last I heard they were going to, but I don't know.
We'll have to wait and see.
Doesn't seem very wise because apparently everybody got this in this wave. It started because of SantaCon, which was also an outside, you know, like celebration kind of thing. And now everybody's sick. So I don't know.
Is this thing ever gonna end? I wonder. I ask myself.
Right.
Oh, Jenny, look, she says New Year's Eve is my hubby's birthday and my dog's is the 29th too.
Wow.
It's gonna be a busy week for a lot of people.
I guess so.
What hobbies do you have other than reading? Can't say reading.
Yeah, reading and writing. You know, I don't know if I really am a hobby kind of girl. I mean, I guess my hobby would be, and this is kind of comes out of the whole writing thing, but you know, I mean, I'm very stationary during the day. When I'm working, I'm sitting on my butt with a laptop. And so when I have some free time, and it actually also helps the writing, is getting up and like getting active. So, you know, working out, going for walks, anything that will get my body moving. I have a Peloton, you know, things like that. That I guess is my hobby, which is probably a good, healthy hobby to have. Oh, yeah. But it was also one that was born out of desperation. Like I just got like, you know, I had to get rid of my energy kind of thing. And so, yeah, I guess that's my hobby. I don't really have any others. I used to like gardening, but I'm over that now.
I do like to garden.
I do.
But sometimes I say to myself, you know, this is a lot of work to get a pound of carrots.
That's why I'm over it. It's a lot of work and it's expensive. You go and you buy all these plants and then you put them in the ground and they just kind of, you know, disappear or die or.
Yeah, it is. It really is. And there's something I just gave up on. I mean, we live in the mountains, like 5,000 feet elevation. So we have a really short summer. I can never grow like beefsteak tomatoes.
Yeah.
I can't grow cantaloupe. anything that takes a long time to grow, forget it. Onions will take 5 months up there.
Yeah. Yeah, that kind of takes the fun out of it, doesn't it?
It does. It does. But we do like to plant the carrots, and we do like to do the easy stuff like lettuce, and I do like my tomatoes. But
Yeah.
other than that, I'm not a huge gardener. I'm not,
No.
But I like to reap my some rewards. Just some.
Exactly.
Judy has a question for you. Do you have one dog or two? What kind do you have? Oh, okay.
I do. We have 2 dogs, actually. If she's following me on any of the, socials, she will see plenty of dog pictures. So we have one King Charles Cavalier. It's sweet little dog. Her name is Daisy. She turns 1 on January 1st.
Only one?
Yeah, so she's a pup.
Aw.
Well, she's not officially a puppy anymore, but she's very active and very snuggly. And then we also have a geriatric dog. He's a Maltese poodle mix, and he's like blind and deaf and old and grumpy, but he's like 15.
Oh,
Yeah, he's the older he gets, the grumpier he gets. He doesn't really like people, touching on him and hanging on him, and the puppy doesn't.
grumpy old man.
Kind of makes a big arc around him when she has to pass him in the hallway. Which, yeah.
So that's the only. Do you have any cats or any other pets?
No.
So when you're in Amsterdam, who takes care of the pets, the dogs?
Us, we bring the dogs back and forth. They're frequent flyers.
Really? So they don't have to go to quarantine?
No, they don't have to quarantine. That's UK, but not here. Yeah. So yeah, and they have a EU passport, so they can, they can travel. And we take them under the seat. They fit under the seat in a little carry-on bag.
They get frequent miles?
Yeah, no. I wish.
They got a passport. It's like, come on.
Yeah, they do. And they're actually both of them really good about it because they've, done it plenty. So as soon as I put them in their carrier, they just kind of like settle down and they just know, okay, well.
How often do you fly back and forth?
A couple times a year. I mean, when we come here, we usually stick for a while. So, yeah, so we'll come here. Like I've been here since mid-October, so a little over 2 months. And in the summer, we usually stay, if we can, the whole summer. So, it's not like they're, flying back and forth every week. So a couple times a year.
I think it's great that they don't have to be in quarantine. That was my first thought, was that I thought every country had to be in quarantine, but I guess not.
No, it depends on the country, and it depends on, just the rules. Everybody's different, but the rest of the EU, I can just travel wherever with that passport.
But not the UK.
Correct.
Because the UK they're not in the EU anymore. So
correct. But I think even when they were in the EU, they did have that quarantine. I don't know what the reasoning is for it.
Just Brits being Brits.
You're allowed to say that, not me.
I came over here in 79, but I some of the things that the Brits do don't even make sense to me.
Yeah,
they just don't. But they just don't. I'm gonna let you answer this one because I kind of know the answer. But Alicia's asking, how long does the airplane trip take? It's
about 8 hours, Atlanta to Amsterdam. Yeah. It's kind of it's a long sit.
It is. But hey, bring a good book and it's all good.
Exactly.
I usually if I was going to, I don't travel as often as you, but I like night flights.
Well, the flights from Atlanta to Amsterdam are all night flights.
Oh, they are?
Yeah, they're all night flights.
Okay.
And I take a pill and I just like crash.
Yeah. Oh, okay. There's something else I was going to ask you. Okay. This is just a hearsay question. If you were an author, what do you think you would be doing?
Yeah. I think I might still be in fundraising. I really enjoyed working for nonprofits. I'm not sure I would still be doing the consulting like I was doing. I really liked getting into a specific organization, like when I worked for them solely, and really getting to understand not just their programs, but being able to see how their programs are really helping people. And it made it, I don't know, job is easy, but it was an easy ask for me when I would go to donors and say, this is a worthy organization because, and I had seen it with my own eyes. Yeah, so I definitely could see myself doing that still.
Wow, exciting. Well, I'm really happy about your book. This is exciting.
No, thanks.
Are you going to be doing, I know with COVID, it's really hard, but do you think you'll be doing any book signings once the book comes out? Do you have a
Well,
book tour coming up or
yeah,
anything?
my publishers are not really sending authors out currently on tours. Like, this is my second book that I haven't gone out and like done an official tour for. So when it comes out the paperback comes out in March, I'll be doing some local signings in Atlanta. But they're not going to send me anywhere, unfortunately.
No,
Yeah.
it's hard. It's hard. What do you do? I mean, I know your authors do a lot to promote your books for you, but because of COVID, because you can't go out a lot in public, what do you kind of do to just be out there and
Yeah. I mean, I'm doing a lot of virtual events.
like this one
And
that we're
those,
doing now?
yeah, events like this, and there'll be a lot right around publication in both in December, early January, and in March for the paperback. So I'll be doing a lot of those, and those are all. I mean, I'm constantly adding them. They're on my website. If you click on the events, KimberlyBelleBooks.com, and then there's an events page, and you can kind of follow along with those. But like I said, lots of virtual events and a couple of in town events.
Right, local
When the
events,
paper comes out.
local
Yeah,
events. And do you do the social media like Instagram and
I'm on Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, LinkedIn, Goodreads.
now there's TikTok? I mean,
Well,
every year
I'm actually on TikTok too, but I'm more of a voyeur there. I really love to just kind of scroll,
just
and
scroll through.
I'm just not funny enough and clever enough with,
Me neither.
the little clippy
No,
short
I don't
videos.
know. I mean, Karen, who's watching us tonight, I'll send her graphics and I say, she'll make something out like, okay, cool, thank you. Because I have no clue. I have no clue at all.
Yeah,
I did want to ask you though, because we had talked earlier about, the headache of getting published. You got to find an agent. You have to find a publisher. You have to write the book, and
right,
this doesn't happen overnight.
right.
For the aspiring authors or writers out there that want to follow in your footsteps and have the success that you're having, what advice could you give them, or will you give them?
Well, like you said, in order to sell a book, you have to have a book.
Hmm.
So you have to, write the book, which is a real bummer
I know.
because, it is, like it, especially the first book, it took me a long time and I rewrote it a bunch of times before I felt like I had hit the mark with the voice, and it actually took me a bunch of tries to even figure out which genre I wanted to be in and what kind of story I wanted to tell. So, I guess my biggest advice is, write the best book that you can.
Yeah.
Learn as much as you can about the process. Read. There are so many good books out there about, structure, story structure, building conflict, building character. I mean, there are tons of reference books and really good ones. And then once you've got a good story, you know, there are a million different ways to be published these days too. When I was, starting out, and well, by the time I had a book ready to query to agents, it was 2010 probably. And, there were fewer ways, I think, to get published then. There was self-publishing. People were self-publishing, but it wasn't what it is now.
Right.
There weren't really small presses at the time, maybe a couple, but that wasn't really a thing. And so for me, I decided I wanted to be with one of the New York publishing houses. That's just the way I wanted to go,
Right.
but that's not the only way. There are so many successful authors who are doing it, very differently, and who are doing kind of hybrid,
Mm-hmm.
things. There are authors who were self-publishing and selling so much that they're getting picked up by the New York houses. I mean, there are a million different paths to take. And maybe my advice would be, don't get set on one particular path, but kind of just, explore and see what's right for you. And
That's good advice.
yeah, and really, I think no matter which way you choose, finding someone, whether it's an agent or an editor or someone who's going to, help you polish your manuscript, who really is excited about the story and is excited as you are and kind of has the same vision for the story, that is worth $1 million too, because having someone in your corner is always a good thing.
Oh, yeah, I agree. And with the path that you took, you already knew which path you wanted to go. Is there anything you wish you had done different that you've learned along the way? Or did you pretty much stick to your guns, and not guns, but
Yeah, I
yeah.
stuck to my guns. I don't know if there's anything I would have done differently. I think, when you're first starting out and you write a book and you think and you find a publisher, you find your way to, bring it out into the world. And then you kind of I don't know how you had that, but with your first book, you kind of think oh, I did it. Yay. But that's really, I guess I wish someone had told me back then, that's when really the real work starts.
Yeah.
Because, yeah, right? I
They
mean,
say that
writing a book is
often,
one
writing the
thing.
book is easy.
Yeah. But sending it out into the world and, finding your readers and finding other authors who, maybe become friends and colleagues. And I mean, there are so many millions of things that come after that book actually
Yeah.
gets picked up. I guess
And
I wasn't quite aware of all the work that
oh,
came
yeah, and
out.
for me, I'm writing. I'm on book number 9 out of all my books that I'm writing right now. And for me, I still have the anxieties every time a book goes out there. I personally thought it would get easier. That
Yeah,
as you
no.
bring more books out and the readers get to know your writing, and
Yeah.
you get your regular followers behind you, that it gets easier. But no, the anxieties
Mm.
are there until you start getting the feedback.
Yeah, I agree with that 100%. And also, I also think it doesn't get easier to actually write the book, because as you learn and grow and, discover all these things about, it's easy. It was easier to write a book when I didn't know what I was doing, I think, because I didn't know quite how crappy it was.
I like that. I've never heard that before. I think that's
But
brilliant.
now, I mean, I write something and I'm like, oh, that's not right. I mean, I know now all the things that I was doing wrong when I started, I guess. Um,
Yeah, that's a great way of putting it. It really is. I like that. And someone has a question regarding your books. It just flipped by me. Here it is. I liked it. I'm not sure who this is. It says Facebook user. I've got a feeling it might be Bruce Benson. I'm not
gosh.
sure. If you could be one of your characters for a day, who would you choose? And I guess from any book.
Yeah, it's awful because, my main characters, they're dealing with some really awful crap. I don't know if I
You
want to
won't be any of them.
I mean, they're either in danger or they've been betrayed by someone they trusted, or, yeah. Let me think about that. I'm not sure I'd want to change places with any of them. You know,
No?
they're going through some really awful stuff.
Oh, okay. Well, that answered that question. We are getting close to the end of our hour. These go by so quick. But I do want to put in some time for the giveaways because you are being very generous doing a giveaway. So I do want to hand it back to you and for you to talk about the giveaway. And what?
Sure. Well, I'll give away two. So I'll give away a copy of My Darling Husband. And hopefully when I get back to the States next week, there will be a pile of books waiting for me.
Hopefully, depending on.
So I can't guarantee you exactly when it's going to get there, but I'll give away a copy of this one. I'll have a book or a box of hardbacks, I think, waiting for me.
Nice.
We'll figure it out. We'll figure it out. So I'll give away one of these, and then let me pop over here and grab my. I'll give away, since we've talked about this one too, I'll give away a copy of The Marriage Lie. So this is
how generous of you.
This is the UK cover. So you may get an American, you'll get the American version, which looks very different, but it's the same story.
Now this is one that I got written down here and I got it circled. So they'll be signed. There'll be signed copies.
Yeah, for sure.
Awesome. Now, do you want to pick the readers? I mean, the winners? Do you want me to pick?
No, why don't you pick? You pick however you pick.
Well, I'm going to wait until after the live. I mean, I'm going to pick a live view, 2 live viewers, but some people are showing up as Facebook user.
Okay.
So it's not fair for me to pick someone when I don't know who they are. So after we go live, all the names show up.
Okay, got
it. A fair drawing. And what I would do is I will have the winners just reach out to you via Messenger. Is that okay?
Yeah, perfect.
Okay,
Perfect.
and I'll do it in a couple of hours. And I also like to do a couple of giveaways. One of them is a $5 Amazon gift card. And if you go to my author page and share this video with all your friends, your reading groups, then you're in the drawing for a $5 Amazon gift card. So I'm going to be giving that away. And again, I'll announce that tonight. And I normally give away, because it's called a Cuppa A Natter, I normally give away a box of English tea bags, which is what I drink.
Love it.
But they're on back order for God knows how long, probably on a boat from England somewhere. And I think the winner from last 2 weeks ago, she hasn't gotten hers yet. I haven't got a notification that she's got it. So instead of doing the tea bags this week, I'm going to give a signed copy of All of Us, which I don't have on me yet. It comes out January 31st. So one of you will win a signed copy of All of Us coming out in January. So there's 3 books we're giving away tonight, which is great. But Kimberly, this has been a lot of fun.
Yeah.
It really has. And thank you again so much for being up at 2 a.m. Now it's 3 a.m. in Amsterdam to chat with not just me, but with all the readers here.
Of course. Well, thank you for having me.
Oh, it's been a joy. It really has.
Thank
and I'm going to let you go to bed.
Yeah. I'm going to do that.
All right, readers, thank you so much for being with us tonight. Kimberly, I'll let you say a few words and then we'll call it an evening.
Yeah. Well, thank you. Thank you for being here. And I love seeing all these familiar names fly by. Thanks for being here.
Yeah, it's been a lot of fun. Thank you, everybody. We will talk to you soon. Good night.